ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुविष्णुगुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ ऐंकार ह्रींकार रहस्ययुक्त श्रींकार गूढ़ार्थमहाविभूत्य ओंकार मर्म प्रतिपादिनीभ्यां नमो नमः श्री गुरुपादुकाभ्याम्। Verse 11. यथा सूर्य एकोप्स्वनेकश्चलासु स्थिरास्वप्यनन्वग्विभाव्य स्वरूपः चलासु प्रभिन्नासु धीष्वेवमेकः स नित्योपलब्धिः स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा। यथा सूर्य एकः चलासु यथा यथा सूर्य अप्सु यथा सूर्य अप्सु अनेकश्चलासु स्थिरा स्वप्यनन् वग स्थिरास्व अपि अनन्वग् विभाव्य स्वरूपः चलासु प्रभिन्नासु धीषु एवं एकः स नित्योपलब्धि स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा। यथा सूर्य एकः अप्सु अनेकः चलासु। यथा, in the way that one surya appears anekaha in multiple chalasu. It appears as moving. This one surya appears as moving in the moving waters. Then when the water is still, sthirasu api ananvag vibhavya swarupaha. It becomes one form. The ananya becomes one swarupa. When the water becomes still, chalasu prabhinnasu dhishu evam ekaha. In the same way, when the mind or the intellect becomes still, that one swarupa is able to be seen as one. If you see, Hastamalaka has used Surya as an example, the reflection Surya and the reflection in many verses. Because this is Pratyaksham Brahma. Surya Bhagavan is something that is always available to us for experience. Even Chandra, the moon, there are times when the moon, there's Amavasya and there is no moon. Except for solar eclipses, you don't see Surya missing. Surya is there every day, comes and goes off in the evening. So is available during our waking hours for our experience. We are not diurnal animals. We are actually we are diurnal animals, which means we are not nocturnal. I mean we are supposed to be active during the day. Is that called diurnal? That's what it's called, I think. The animals that are active during night are called nocturnal animals. We are not made to be nocturnal, which means we operate with the sun. We rise with the sun, we set with the sun. So, for our waking hours, Surya is available for our experience. So we can make these examples, these references to Surya, to say that what do you experience with the sun? How the sun is always there. When you look up, it is always there. See, think about it. Sun's presence is always felt during the full day. We may not look at it because we may be busy with our own things, but whenever you decide to look at it, it is there. It is always available. That availability of the sun is not dependent on your acceptance or rejection of it. The availability of the sun is not dependent or of you noticing it or not noticing it. You can keep saying, no, Surya is not there. That doesn't make it true. Likewise, you may not see it, you may be busy with something. It doesn't mean that the Surya, at the time that you are not noticing, it is gone. It is there. So he is drawing that example because this is that entity which is always continuously there. Wind may be there, it may not be there. Air, water, rains, you don't have rains all the time. It may drizzle for a little while or rain or even have heavy torrents, but it's gone. The experience or the presence of the sun during the day is always felt. It never so happens that even when the sun is covered during the eclipse, it doesn't become entirely dark like night. It is still, you experience it as day only. It may feel like the setting sun evening time, that feeling is there, but still the sun is available for access during the waking hours. So in the same way, he is pointing to that which is available within us. Sanityo upalabdhi. Sanitya upalabdhi. Upalabdhi means available. It is available. It never runs out of stock. Anupalabdhi is a state where something can go out of stock. That presence is always available. Sanitya upalabdhi. Upalabdhi. Nitya upalabdhi is saying. Eternally, forever, that is available. What is that available? That presence within you, which we've been talking for the last so many days. Not just so many days, we've been talking about so many years. The same idea. That presence is always available. It is available to us whether we are noticing it or not noticing it. So he's saying like how when the water is moving, what happens to the reflection of the sun? It is moving or it is not clear, it is not seen, the reflection may not be seen. But when the water becomes still, the reflection is able to be seen. Now, this is the same example he says, when the mind becomes still, then the reflection is seen. When the mind is chanchala, which means it is achala, not achala, it is chanchala, it is chala, it is constantly moving. At that time, even if that consciousness, this tattva, this aham tattva is reflecting, we can't experience it. We are very disturbed. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Oh, it is yoga day. It is good to remember Yogi Patanjali. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. He says all the chitta vrittis, the movement of the chitta settles down. That is yoga. And that is when you experience this reflection within. Otherwise, we feel lost. Why do we feel lost? Because the mind is constantly moving. And we have not trained the mind to be achala. We can make the mind achala by some practice, some meditation, some dhyana, something. Wanting to think of Shiva, Himachala. You think of Narayana, Venkatachala. You want to think of no form, Tiruvanam, Arunachala. There are so many achalas we can bring into our consciousness. When you associate yourself with something which is achala, your mind becomes achala. Achala means achala, that which doesn't move. So that when you associate yourself with that which doesn't move, then your mind automatically comes to a stillness. That is why when you go to the deep ocean, if you have this experience, go into the sea, deep sea, where there are waves on the surface, but The water is largely, from a distance, you see the waters are largely still. When you go to a mountain, look at the mountain, there is a sense of settling in. Because the moment you associate yourself with something that is unmoving, it helps you to go to a state of reduced movement within. That is why all these yogis would go into mountain ranges to go and do dhyana and japa and all that. So he's saying when the waters are moving, the Surya reflection is not seen. In the same way, when the mind is not moving, when the vasanas are not rising, the desires are not rising so fervently. The desires rising inside our mind, the thoughts that are rising are like these winds that are blowing. When the winds blow, there are waves that are created. But underneath, see, how much ever wind is there, you may have not done deep sea diving, but still you can imagine if you go under the water, there is no impact of that. Inside the water, water is still calm. Only when a big shark or a big fish that comes, it will move the water. Otherwise, it is calm still. So this movement, what it means, see these examples, what it means is when you, if you've done a deep sea diving or if you've gone underwater, if you've had this experience, you'll know that you associate and you bring this into your practice. Which means on the surface, there's a lot of wind, there is a lot of movement, thoughts, desires are rising. I go deep inside, it is calm still. Where do I have to go? Not very far. It is right here. It is available right here. Sanitya Upalabdhi. See, this is the motto or the phrase of this whole verse. Nitya Upalabdhi. Swarupaha. These are three words we have to establish from this work. These are the three words. Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupaha, which means I am of that form. My Swarupa is Nitya Upalabdhi. It is always available to me. I don't have to name it. I can feel it. Correct? The next verse, he goes on in similar lines. घनच्छन्न दृष्टिर्घनच्छन्नमर्कं यथा निष्प्रभं मन्यते चातिमूढः तथा बद्धवद्भाति यो मूढदृष्टेः स नित्योपलब्धि स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा घनच्छन्न दृष्टिः घनच्छन्नम अर्कं यथा निष्प्रभं मन्यते च अतिमूढः तथा बद्धवत् भाति यो मूढदृष्टेः स नित्योपलब्धि स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा घनच्छन्न दृष्टिः घनच्छन्नम अर्कम in the way how the clouds cover the sun, we think that the clouds are covering the sun. From here, when you see the clouds are covering the sun, and we actually think that the clouds are covering the sun. Cha ati moodaha, he's saying. Ati moodaha means vadikattana muttals. This is the way you think, Avdinchali. He's saying. Ati moodaha. Well, how do they think? They actually think that this clouds are covering the sun. Yatha nishprabham manyate cha ati moodaha. English. See, some translations don't come out very well. Tamil, when it is said vadikattina muttal, in English you will say filtered idiots. So, filtered idiots doesn't sound so impactful. He says that is how they would think that actually the clouds are covering the sun. But is it true? Do the clouds cover the sun ever? Can the clouds cover the sun? When you rise up, when you go in a flight, now this is interesting. We all have experienced, we've been given the possibility of this experience. At the time of Adi Shankara, or at the time of even take 100, 200 years ago, nobody would have been able to experience this, which we have experienced now, which is you take a flight, you go 35,000 feet above the sea level, you're above the clouds, then you see the sun, and you see that sun cannot be covered by anything because you're above the clouds have gone below you. Ghanachanna drishtihi ghanachannam arkam. Your drishti is covered by the clouds. We think the sun is covered by the clouds. Tatha nishprabham chati moodha. Manyate chati moodha. So think the fools that my vision is covered by the clouds, but I think the sun is covered by the clouds. He says, Tatha baddhavat bhati yo moodha drishtehe. In the same way, baddhavat bhati. Bhati means as though, baddhavat, as though you're tied. Moodha drishtehe. Moodas or such fools think about themselves that they're tied. Here, when he's saying fools, the first line when he's saying fools, we'll say, no, I am not that fool because I know. Clouds are not covering the sun, I know. But the second one he's saying, Mudha are the ones who think that they are bound. Those Mudas are us only. The second Mudha is saying, Baddhavat bhati, Mudha drishtehe. Baddhavat bhati means as though you're tied to this, fools think or fools see themselves as though they are tied. Tatha baddhavat bhati, Mudha drishtehe. So this, again, this example, why is this example? See, actually, if you look at it today morning, Kavi and I went for a nice walk. It was windy. It didn't feel like the hot summer every day it's feeling nowadays. And the sun was not scorching. Even at 5:30, usually it starts coming out. About 5:30, 6 o'clock, nothing. It was pretty nice. And then I was looking at it and I said, it's so nice when the clouds are covering the sun. It is actually a nice weather. We like to walk outside. But then we are saying we should not look at the clouds, we should look at the sun, all of that. Then where is this joy coming from when the clouds are covering the sun? This is ignorance, bliss in ignorance. Is there no joy in ignorance? There is so much joy in ignorance, correct? Moole kaiti vechutta. If you take the brain out of your head, there is so much nimmadi, right? Half the time, 90% of the time problem is this brain is working. You cloud the brain, the mind. You take it out. Sometimes you feel, give me an injection, put me in anesthesia, and give me an anesthesia and put me into sedation. I hope I went into coma. It's so joyful. We think there is joy. There is some kind of bliss in ignorance. Whoever formed this, ignorance is bliss. Very profound. So it is nice. It is so joyful to walk out in the morning when the sun is clouded and breeze is blowing. It's very gentle, very nice. There is that joy. The problem is not that about that joy that you're finding in ignorance. The problem is when ignorance gives you suffering, then you don't know where to go. When ignorance allows you a period of this temporary joy, we think, why do I need Bhagavan? Why do I need prayer? Why do I have to do dhyanam? Why do I have to do japa? Why do I have to do this, that, other? Why do I have to do all of this? Because our fundamental problem is the reason we do all of this is because we think life is going to get better with this. My children will get better, my life will get better, my wife will get better, my husband will get better by doing all of this. And that is where we become tired also. See, why does sadhana, taking a sankalpa, doing a sadhana, we become tired? Because the output constantly that we are seeking, the sankalpa we take and the output that we are seeking is not coming through. So we'll become tired. That is also a kind of ignorance only. That is a kind of ignorance, that we are thinking that doing all of this and my life will become better. Life will not become better. Drishti will change. See, in this verse, he's saying, Ghanachanna drishtihi ghanachanna markam. The drishti is covered by clouds, but I think that the sun is covered by the clouds. Tatha nishprabham, tatha baddhavad bhati yo mudha drishtehe. Muda's drishti is that the drishti is that I am bound by this. This instance, if I think that I am free, who's stopping you to believe in that? Is somebody coming and holding your hands and somebody coming and telling you, no, 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 don't believe that you are not free? You'll say, yeah, circumstances is constantly showing that. That is because, like in the previous verse, our attention and focus is on the moving waters. The attention is not on the sun. When the waters become still, the reflection of the sun is seen in the water. Where does your attention go? Let me find the source from where it is reflecting. Then you look at the source. But if you let the mind keep constantly moving, your attention is on the moving waters, not on the sun. It is all about drishtihi. It's all about where you decide to pay attention. It is about the ability to pay attention. When you would have experienced, all of us experience this, when your mind is so drawn into something, like for example, if your young mothers would have had this experience, when your child is crying for milk, for food or whatever, your whole attention, your whole being is now focused, paying attention to provide that for the child. In the process, you may bang your leg somewhere, your leg may be bleeding, you may cut your finger somewhere, it may be bleeding, you would not recognize. Somebody will come and tell you hurt yourself. இது எங்கேருந்து ரத்தம் சொட்டின்னு இருக்கு? Where is this blood drops coming from? Then you'll be like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that I hit myself. What has happened? Your whole attention is on that child, that entity. So when your whole attention is on that entity, your whole being is focused on providing for that child. There are other things also happening in the world, right? World has not come to a standstill. Bomb hasn't stopped falling in Iran and Israel. That is continuing to happen. Your attention is completely on this, correct? Things are happening to your body also, you're not recognizing it because your attention is so much on this. You're willing to two things that happen. You are not even aware that your body is going through pain because your whole attention is now brought to this, or you're willing to bear with the pain. Right? So we experience this. Where is this coming from? Paying attention to the right place. When you pay attention, So right now, if I decide I am mukta, I am not baddha, I am not bound, I am free. Who's stopping it? Nobody is stopping it. But how do I retain that knowledge and how do I hold on to that knowledge is paying attention to the right thing. Drishte, the drishti, when you bring the drishti to the right substance, the right entity, not looking at the moving things, but that which is still and that which is achala, then whatever happens outside, you know that you are not bound by it. You do whatever it needs to be done. You do whatever it takes to be done, but it is not something that is, it is not, it is not something that is defining your life. Your life is not defined by Vishnu Sahasranam. Achalam Shriyam Apnoti Shreya Prapnotyam Uttamam. Prapnoti Anuttamam. These related. Achalam Shriyam Apnoti Shreya Prapnoti Anuttamam. Achalam Shriyaha Apnoti, by obtaining. Kalpaka has mentioned something from a verse from Vishnu Sahasranama. Achalam Shriyam Apnoti Shreya Prapnoti Anuttamam. By obtaining that which is achala and that which is shreyaha, achalam shreyaha apnoti, sorry, achalam shriyam apnoti. Shriyam is prosperity or auspiciousness, that which is unmoving. By obtaining that, you obtain shreyaha, the greatest good for yourself. Yeah, the word achalam is there here, which is also a beautiful expression. But that is where you find that joy and auspiciousness. Ignorance may give you that joy for a brief period of time, but it does not sustain. You fall into that again. See, now for the next 5 days, we'll be talking about today's cloudy, breeze, and windy weather. அன்னைக்கு எவ்வளவு நல்லா இருந்தது, அன்னைக்கு எவ்வளவு நல்லா இருந்தது. The same thing we'll keep saying for the next 1 week. That is the nature of temporariness. It makes you want more of that, not holding you grounded to the truth and reality. It'll give you some fleeting joy, fleeting pleasure, and then we'll hold on to it. You know, it was like that. 20 years ago, it was so beautiful. Or 30 years ago, in my childhood, it was so nice. When I was in that ashrama for 1 week, it was so nice. 40 years, people will talk about that. But has that changed you? That is very nice. It is a beautiful experience, but it should transform you in some way. It should, there must be complete absorption of that experience, and it must transform. Not just we talk about an experience in the past and say, oh, it was so nice. Because of that, I am now transformed. 40 years ago, I had that experience, and since then, I am a transformed person. That is a beautiful thing to say. Otherwise, we'll always keep thinking about some glimpses here and there and wanting more. Like a beggar, we'll keep begging. Like Janaka Maharishi had this dream. So he's a king of a great empire, Videha Empire. And he has a dream that he's become a pauper, lost everything, gone, and he's scrambling for food. Even the little bit of food that he gets in a bowl on some street, the crow comes and kicks it off his hand, and he's crying and weeping. And then he wakes up. His guru Ashtavakra walks there. Like, what is this? That's a dream he has. So in the dream, he becomes a pauper, complete pauper. So this is where it is. Baddhavat bhati. As though we are bound, we continue to tell ourselves. Swami Vivekananda says the whole process of spiritual sadhana, spiritual activities that you do is to unhypnotize yourself, dehypnotize yourself. We have hypnotized from the childhood. We have hypnotized ourselves. From a childhood, we have been taught social circumstances. There is this teaching continuously goes on to identify yourself with your body, with your individuality, with your family, with your community, with your nation. Continuously, that is happening. This is what Hastamalaka did. He stayed away from that. The same thing Jadabharata did. He stayed away from that. From in Bhagavatam, Jadabharata said, "I don't want to be bothered." Till Rahugana came and asked him. Till that he was, I don't want to be bothered by anybody. I don't want to be found also. See, look at their state of consciousness. They're saying, I don't want to be disturbed. I don't want to be found. I don't want to be found and glorified. Malaya put, aha, oh, tu kinda poi. He is a Bhagavan, he is a great guru, he is a great master yogi. They are not even interested in that. See, imagine that level of, right? Today we want to wear white and keep the Rudraksha outside and put a pattai and go like that, hair open. And I want people to look at me and say that, oh, என்ன ஒரு தேஜஸ், என்ன ஒரு யோகி மாதிரி இருக்கு. But those times they are wanting, so there are people like this who don't want to be found. Chakradaya, just very careful. Because the moment they are found, they know it is again a trap. It's again a trap. Even if when we walk around, a sannyasi walks around with a robe, there is a ahankara that is attached with the robe also. See, a sannyasi has to be very careful. It's not easy for a sannyasi. Very difficult. Somebody is sitting in front of the sannyasi with the leg on leg, sitting like that, he'll sit like that. The sannyasi will feel hurt. No respect. When that rises inside him, he has to be very careful, him or her. The yogi or the sannyasi who's given up everything, when they suddenly look at somebody and say, he's not giving me respect, everybody fell at my feet, he is not falling at my feet. These thoughts will rise. Very, very careful. So Hastamalaka, Jadabharada, they've tried to be careful very much. Because if I am found, they will glorify me. What will happen? They'll glorify me for some time and then they'll start finding fault in the things I do. Then I become bound. I have to act the way they want me to act. Being a guru, does it, என்ன சொல்லுவா? Does it befit you to act like this, being a guru? Somebody will come and tell. Somebody will come and tell, oh, you're known to be such a great yogi. Does it befit you to go in a car like this? So all of these things will happen. We know the story of donkey and the man with the bag of cloth he's carrying. Whichever way you go, it will be wrong. You keep the cloth on the donkey and you walk. They're like, what a fool. Then you sit on the donkey, you hold the cloth. Ayyo pavam donkey. Say, okay, then finally this guy will carry the donkey on his head. He'll say, oh, what a stupid guy. So something you do, whichever you do, it will be wrong. Then you get caught up in that. So there are these Mahatmas who don't want to be found. Like Nammalwar also we said yesterday, they don't want to be found. But for Lokakshema, Bhagavan wills. Ramana Maharshi, same thing, doesn't want to be found. He didn't go out and say, he said, oh, is that Seshadri Swami coming there? Let me quickly go and sit down like that, then he'll find me. That is not the way it happened. They don't want to be found. Because they're very clear. Anything you do, you come out, you glorify, you become this, that, other, it is a trap. Whichever way you go, it is a trap. So ghanachanna drishtihi ghanachannam arkam. Your drishti needs to be refined. Don't worry about the Surya. Don't think my Atma has been soiled. I have become impure. I cannot do sadhana. I am not fit to go to temple. I am not fit to do dhyanam. I am not fit to do meditation. I am not fit to read Bhagavad Gita. A lot of times the mind goes into these kind of funny thoughts. I am not fit to. That is what he's pointing out. That is also a foolish way of looking. Your drishti is because you're looking at these things and you're identifying yourself with those things that are impure or wrong, whatever. But the Atma itself is not impure. The Atma, the consciousness that is within you, right now it is available. The moment you open your eyes to it, everything dissolves. See, it is like the alum. Those who know alum, huh? Alum. I don't know what it's called in Tamil.
தமிழ்ல படிக்காரன்னு சொல்லுவா.
Padigaram. Alum, you put it into water, there's a lot of dirt accumulated in water. The alum will dissolve and so will the dirt. Where did the alum go? The water is now clean. That is how it is. The sadhana that we do, it dissolves. The sadhana is not important. It is important till the water is cleaned. Then after that, it is of no great value. So you don't have to hold that as so much importance. We don't have to give the techniques and the methods and different things so much importance, saying that, oh, this is better than that, that is better than, doesn't matter. It's an alum, it's an alum. What is the purpose of it? To clean the water. Once the water is cleaned, it doesn't matter how it got cleaned. Yogaratova, bhogaratova, sangaratova, sangavihina. Doesn't matter. Yasya brahmani ramate chittam nandati nandati nandatyeva. Keep your heart and mind and soul in that one thing. Bring your attention to that. This is very, 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 very important. During our activity, during the day, during whatever you're doing, you may be shouting at somebody also, suddenly hold back and maybe just think, bring your attention to that. Say, okay, now continue shouting. Do whatever you do. Bring your attention. Practice bringing attention to that. Don't keep judging yourself, oh, the correct, the tappa. It's okay. Important thing is not keep judging your activities. Bring your attention to that within you. The more we bring our attention to that, and then continue to do what we're doing, bring our attention to that, continue what you're doing. Slowly, the mind will practice looking at that. The mind will practice paying attention to that under whatever circumstances. It is very beautiful. We have to practice it to experience it. You may be sitting right in the midst of a heated discussion. You may be sitting right in the midst of a very important meeting. You may be sitting right in the middle of a big business deal. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You may be sitting right in the middle of a huge production problem. Somewhere something has gone wrong. Doesn't matter. Just bring your attention. This is not changing. The problem will come and problem will go. This is not going to change. I am that. Biggest problem, somebody died, something happened, this happened, that happened. Shocking news. Bring your attention to that. If you do it in the right way, like this, bringing your attention, you will not be insensitive. You will also become compassionate. Doesn't mean that you will not respond or react to somebody is telling something with a lot of joy coming and sharing with you, or with a lot of grief coming and sharing. Wait, let me go. I am not disturbed. You don't have to tell those things to them, right? You may be excited, but I am not, because I am Atma. Those are insensitive ways of behaving. Somebody is really grieving something. There suddenly we should not bring Vedanta. When somebody is very joyful, you should not bring Vedanta. That is being insensitive. Vedanta is for your own self only. This knowledge of the self is for your own self, not to distribute it to others. That will become insensitive. So today's two verses. यथा सूर्य एकोऽप्स्वनेकश्चलासु स्थिरास्वप्यनन्वग्विभाव्य स्वरूपः चलासु प्रभिन्नासु धीष्वेवमेकः स नित्योपलब्धिः स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा घनच्छन्न दृष्टिः घनच्छन्नम् अर्कम् यथा निष्प्रभं मन्यते चातिमूढः तथा बद्धवद्भाति यो मूढदृष्टेः स नित्योपलब्धिः स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा स नित्योपलब्धि स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा स नित्योपलब्धि स्वरूपोऽहमात्मा ॐ कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि जगदम्बिकेति समर्पयामि सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि हरि ओं तत्सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओं हरि ओं